get intimate or put your hand on my shoulder. Or
so you don't shake hands?
No.
Right. No. So I broke the rule.
Well, do you know, it's difficult. Sometimes I will just go like that and people accept it. But at the beginning of this year I was in Cairo and I met Sheikh Tantawi, and we had a meeting, and when we left to go he went to shake my hand. Yes, from Al-Azhar, the Sheikh. And I just said, no, sorry, I don't shake hands. And
do you think it's part of Islam?
Yes, it is.
That women should not shake hands with them?
Absolutely. You know, it's something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, would never dream of doing, and he is our greatest role model. And so I just pulled back and said, no, I don't shake hands, and he insisted on shaking my hand, and you could tell his entourage were very unhappy by this gesture.
His gesture or your gesture?
His gesture. And again I went like that, and then he said in Arabic to my host, who is she listening to? This is the problem with Muslims in Europe, they listen to extreme voices. And he said, now tell her to shake my hand, she is like my daughter. And I didn't want to get into a confrontation. You know, he sits in the highest scholarly seat in Sunni.
But do you think that the Sheikh made a very interesting comment actually? I mean, the Sheikh sitting in Al-Azhar in Egypt is pointing to the fact that the European converts and European Muslims are far more conservative. The people in Britain and in Europe are far more conservative Muslims than people that live in the Muslim countries.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I went to Pakistan to spend 2 or 3 weeks with some friends, because I said, you know, I feel as though I'm losing my spirituality and I really need to get back to
England.
No, to get back to roots. And they said, come out to Pakistan and we'll help you. And I had some time, and so I went out. And I decided that in Pakistan I'll start to wear the hijab, because it's a Muslim country and it will be easier for me to wear a hijab.
You started to wear hijab, or you stopped wearing hijab?
I started to wear.
You started to wear hijab. So it is in Pakistan that you started wearing hijab?
Yes.
But most Pakistani women don't wear hijab.
Well, no, a sister came up to me and she said, why are you wearing
hijab?
The scarf, she said, the scarf. And I said, you know, it's an obligation in Islam. She said, look, you don't have to wear it, and this country is very hot. And I said, sister, it is a lot hotter in hell. And she looked, and by the afternoon
so was she referring that you wear hijab because of England as a cold country?
By the afternoon she was wearing her hijab, and I just thought, mashallah, you know, the hijab is an obligation. Some of us get to it much quicker than others. I don't think that women should be bullied and cajoled into wearing a hijab. This does not make me a better Muslim, but it is an obligation. And
but we have seen this very interesting thing that women who wear hijab, some of them wear very pretty and fashionable hijab, and some of them wear very simple hijab. So women are differentiating between the hijabs as well, right? I mean, they bring their innovation into hijab. So how do you look at that?
Well, as a white revert, I may as well put a flashing light on my head when I put on a hijab. So what I decided, when I'm in this country anyway, I'm going to make a virtue of the fact I'm wearing a hijab, and I wear bright scarves and experiment and sometimes put on a turban style, and because, you know, I'm going to attract attention anyway. But when I go into a Muslim country like Saudi or Bahrain or somewhere else, then I'm very happy just to put on a black hijab and just blend in.
How much time have you spent in Pakistan?
I try and get to Pakistan maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I love Pakistan. It's like a second home. And I was so distressed over the October 8th earthquake. It really, I went out there about 10 days later and lambasted the international community because I felt that they weren't giving or doing enough, and that there was a racism or Islamophobia behind it. Now then, I was out there as an ambassador for a charity and Helping Hands, and we organised a press conference. And when I stood up in this press conference and criticised the international community for not giving enough, I kept saying the word "we," and somebody said, "Why are you saying we?" And I said, I can't help it. It's just that sometimes Pakistan feels like my home, and I really do feel this pain.
As a convert, as a Muslim European convert, what do you think of the Pakistan's Muslim society?
I love the Pakistan people because they've got this amazing positive attitude. If it's broken, we can fix it. If it's not there, we'll make sure it is. If it can't be done, we will make it happen. And they've just got this real can-do attitude. And I have never known a society like it that can whip up a great demonstration within half an hour and be very passionate about their faith. I feel as though the Pakistan people have been horribly let down by their politicians, and I am very disappointed about some aspects of Pakistan society, but I do have a big love for the Pakistan people.
At one stage you said you don't have any more man stress. What do you mean by that?
Well, before I became a Muslim, like most Western women, I would have casual relationships, boyfriends. You could never go to a party on your own. There was always a pressure to have a partner with you. And this, even in the teen magazines, children are taught that they've got to have a boyfriend. If they don't have a boyfriend, they'll be inadequate. And when I came to Islam, the alcohol went, the casual relationships went, and from the moment that that's all cleaned out of my life, I haven't sat waiting one night watching the phone begging it to ring. I haven't been stood up, I haven't had unnecessary rows, I haven't had to be at anyone's beck and call, and I've found real independence. And not only does Islam teach you to respect others, but it also has taught me to respect myself, and that in itself is liberating. Being judged on your mind and not the length of your skirt is fantastic. So all the hassles that go with men, I'm sorry, but all that, and sisters will know.
So are men responsible for that?
Of course you are. It's like the chicken and egg situation. There are some very simple laws in life, like gravity. When an apple comes from the tree, it will go straight down. If someone is to blame, it's a man. It's one and the other.
We're running short. We almost, I've taken so much of your time. Just one last question. I was reading through some of the websites, and it's on the BBC website, and I think some of the Christian or the Jewish commentator, his name is Alison Yarushin, and he says Yvonne Ridley is very fortunate to have the freedom to convert to Islam. What about the thousands of Muslims who have no right to convert to Christianity? Many live under the fear of apostasy, being subjected to loss of home or job, even life in some instances. And the case of this recent person in Afghanistan, who's almost being punished, or I think is about to kill him, for apostasy, on being suspicion of converting to Christianity. What would you respond to that?
You have to dig behind the headlines for that man. That man converted to Christianity 15 years ago. He abandoned his daughters, left them with their grandparents in Afghanistan. That isn't very Christian, but anyway, he did. He dumped his children, went off and worked for a charity in Pakistan, converted to Christianity. It's very, very interesting interesting that that charity that helped convert him remained silent when he was arrested in Kabul. He went to Kabul, had a big row with his parents. His own parents called the police. He's carted away, and then he starts waving a Bible in Arabic, which is, by the way, a language he doesn't understand and he cannot speak. And of course suddenly...
But what was he arrested for? Apostasy?
I think in the end that they were looking at yes, this man's converted from Islam to Christianity, which
but you exercise a similar right. So what would be your message?
In Sharia, that is my understanding is it's a crime during a time of war, a time of conflict, but there is no compulsion in religion. Now this man had his own hidden agenda, and he's achieved it.
What would be your message to the Muslims on this issue? Like, you exercise that right.
I would just say to the Muslims, ignore him. Don't even get embroiled in arguments with silly people who will try and cause divisions. What that commentator ought to do is ask why a Christian who can't speak Arabic is carrying an Arabic Bible. The man is a fraud. He wanted political asylum. I hope he gets it. I hope he gets it and goes to live in George Bush's ranch in Crawford, Texas. I think they deserve each other.
Yvonne, I've taken enough time. Thank you so much. I can't shake your hands, but thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.